Yeah, that's exactly how we do it, as always.
Exactly. And we're live. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
welcome. Welcome everyone to the Unready room. We're unready as always. And thank you so much for bearing with us and waiting a week. But we're here to talk about 2 episodes of Star Trek Picard with your hosts, of course, me, Dan Gunther, and with me, Brandi Jackola. Brandi, how's it going today?
I am so tired.
Me too. Oh man,
Yeah,
it's gonna be
yeah.
fun. Well, welcome to everybody watching live in the comments. Really appreciate having you all here. And everyone who's watching later, we appreciate you as well. Thank you so much for watching. And let's get right into it because, like I said, we have 2 episodes we've got to cover. So I will ask everybody to cast your minds back a week ago now, more than a week ago, to the episode Watcher, and we'll obviously start with that one. And so Watcher was an interesting episode. We've got a number of things happening. We've got the aftermath of Rios's arrest. We've got Picard deciding to kind of go on his own to try and figure out what's going on after they discover they only have 3 days to fight the future, kind of thing, and all kinds of stuff. But let me think. First of all, first thing I want to talk about is this is this episode, right? Oh my goodness. So unready this week, guys.
So
Um
unready.
yeah. Okay, so we've got, did we have the punk on the bus at the beginning of this episode? Because we want to talk about
Yes.
that.
Sure,
um
let's talk about that.
Brandi, you look like you have thoughts. I will allow you to
Didn't like it. Didn't like it.
mhm.
Didn't like it. The minute I saw the bus, I'm like, "Oh god, no. No. Don't do that." At least they got Kirk Thatcher back, and, he looks very good for a man in his 60s.
Yeah, that's the part about it that I liked, was that it was Kirk Thatcher back, and there's some tongue-in-cheek stuff that, like, we'll analyze when we talk about some stuff later in the episode, but all around it was fan servicey and stuff, but I was laughing. It did its job.
I
It
wasn't.
made me laugh.
Yeah. It didn't for me. I was shouting at the television. Yeah, it's okay. It's
uh,
okay. I know a lot of people loved it, and I'm so glad that people did love it. I was unfortunately not one of them.
mhm. Yeah, I was shouting at the television too, but it was more along the lines of me going like, "Oh my god, it's," and then Nikki going, "What are you talking about?" And me having to like really quickly, "Okay, do you remember Star Trek 4 and blah blah blah." And yeah, so it was fun, but I get the dislike of it too, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's starting to feel like it's like fan service callback, fan service callback, fan service callback. It's every episode multiple times, and it's not necessary, and
Mhm.
it's it's distracting me from what's the story is supposed to be. So it's
Mhm.
just my personal opinion, and I know
Of
that
course.
I'm in the minority in this, and that's fine. So it's just I think there's just, I mean, this is lower decks level of fan service
Mm,
to me, and
yeah.
it does not fit the tone of what story they're telling in Picard. That is just my personal opinion, and I won't harp on it. And there we are.
Yeah. Fair enough. Um so yeah, do people still have mohawks when they're in their
Yes,
60s? Well, this guy
yes, they do.
does, among others. So,
They
eh.
do, and goths still dress up in black with lots of crosses and jewelry and black hair and lots of makeup. Yes, they still do that in their 60s. They
Mhm.
absolutely do.
Yeah, absolutely. I do. David makes a good point here. Who still listens to a boombox? It should have been a smartphone. I get that
That
too, but he likes ticking people off, I guess.
Yeah, well, and the thing is that where did he even find a boombox in this day and age?
I think I still have a couple, actually. He could have grabbed one for
Yeah,
me.
but do they work? Do they work?
One of them does. One of them does. I know that.
Okay.
I think it only
And how
plays
did
cassette tapes.
Yeah, again, how did he find a cassette tape with this obviously newer version of the song to play in the boombox that only plays cassette tapes? So, just Okay, I'm
Well,
gonna
it's
stop.
it's
I'm
a
gonna stop. I'm gonna stop.
it's a newer version of the song, but maybe it came out in like 1988 as opposed to 86. He just really likes that
Sure.
song.
I don't know, it sounded a little more modern, but, I'll leave it alone. No more to say on it.
Yeah. Okay. It was, yeah, totally.
I mean, you can talk about it as much as you like. I'm done with what I had to say about it, so.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I don't think there's much more that needs to be really said about it. It was kind of a throwaway joke thing, and they're not really on the bus very long. They're like on the bus long enough to make that joke, and then that's it, kind of thing. So they end up finding a different mode of transportation because they're trying to track down Rios, of course, and they find out that he's in ICE custody. But before that, we kind of get this fun scene at the police station that I really enjoyed as well, where Raffi is getting right in the face of this cop, and Seven is kind of doing this like, "You're doing a great job, Raffi. No, 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 no. We need to, um, and I enjoyed that scene because like Seven of Nine obviously is trying to kill as few butterflies as possible, right? Like we're not here to make
Mhm.
her stink and raise us. Yeah. That was fun to see their kind of pairing with each other there, I guess.
Yeah, and, the thing that Ralphie doesn't understand about this time period is you do not antagonize LAPD. That is, like, one of
Hmm.
the worst things you can do. If you want to absolutely not be helped, yeah, go ahead and antagonize LAPD. That'll work really well to make sure that they never help you, even if you're dying. So, yeah, that and there's no way that Seven could have known that either, but she could just see the look on this woman's face, the one behind the
Hmm.
counter, who again is a low-level person and is just trying to do her job and has too much to do and not the resources with which to do it. So,
No.
yeah.
Just to jump backwards, because we're not done with this yet. Matthew points out the song does say 35 years later in the lyrics, so point conceded. All right. Let's talk about Picard and
Yes.
Girardi because I enjoyed their scene at the Chateau Picard, and we get some interesting little tidbits about the Picard family and their history at the chateau. So that was kind of interesting that they had abandoned it in World War II when France had fallen to the Nazis, and successive generations for a number of generations lived in England. Apparently, I thought that was a nice little tidbit that we learned there.
Yes, and that's so they don't have to dig up people with authentic French accents, so.
Yes. So, yeah, that was I really enjoyed that because of the kind of offhanded way that it's mentioned, and it's not
Mm.
like they're, like, calling attention to it and saying, "Hey, look at this." It's just like Picard almost says it as though like, "Duh." Well, where did they go? "Oh, England." "Oh, okay."
Where
Like,
else
almost
would
to
they
the
go? Yeah.
yeah. Almost to the point that like, well, yeah, we as Star Trek fans have known this for years. That's why the accents are like that. Duh. You know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something about that tickled me.
No, I agree, because honestly, where else would you go? You're in France. You're next to Poland and Germany. It's World War II. Where are you
Mhm.
gonna go? Like, Spain and Portugal? No, stuff screwed up there too. You have nowhere to go but across the channel.
Mhm. Yeah. So that was fun. That was kind of fun to learn that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so this is the scene, of course, where we also discover that they only have 3 days because I guess a little bit in Girardi's subconscious is coming up with the number 15. They determine that means that April 15th, in 3 days, that's when this thing happens that irrevocably changes the future. Um, I enjoyed that scene because I thought it made sense that Picard noticed that she had the 15th volume and that she had the 1915. But before that, was he sitting there counting the abacus things that she's moving? That just struck me as kind of odd that like he picked that up right away.
Yeah, it seemed odd to me too, because I thought, is he not listening to anything she's actually saying? He's
Right.
just watching her, is that it?
Hmm.
So, which is, that's no, that can be very typical of men, a woman is talking and he's not actually listening to her, but focusing on something else. And then she says, "Did you hear what I said?" And the man tries to pretend that he did, when what he should just do, and this I implore all men who have a problem with this, if you're not listening, just admit it, because you are
Hmm.
going to make the woman angrier if you pretend like you were listening and then it becomes very clear that you weren't. Just be honest. Just be honest. Just say, "I'm sorry. I wasn't listening." That's
Yeah,
all you
and
need to do.
that absolutely goes for anybody finding themselves in that situation because yeah, I've been on both sides of that conversation before with many different
Mhm.
people, and yeah, just be upfront. And I mean, I'm guilty of it too. Like I said, just be upfront. Just say, "I am so sorry. I was somewhere else. What did you say?" And
Mhm.
kind of sucks, but it's better than just trying to play along because that's not going to work.
Yeah, and it just feels like this is a pattern with how people interact with Girardi, and it's really kind of pissing me off, frankly.
Hmm.
I feel like, she has earned her keep, so to speak. And yet there are still things where I feel like they're not treating her fairly. It kind of feels like the way that they used to treat Barclay in Next Generation.
Oh, interesting.
Don't care
Okay.
for it. Don't care for
Hmm.
it. And I think it's unfair. So, she's already been through enough. The least you could do is, respect her and treat her like a capable human being.
Hmm. Well, we'll go through some stuff that Girardi's going through in this episode and the next. So to be continued on that
Mhm.
one. But yeah, so they decide they can't get a hold of anybody else, Rios obviously, or Seven or Raffi at the moment. So Picard decides to go off on his own to these coordinates that Girardi has gotten from the Borg Queen, and finds himself at 10 Forward Avenue, which this is one that I have an issue with because it's a chicken and the egg thing that's kind of
Mhm.
bugging me here. When we
Mhm.
saw that bar in episode 1, that was the 25th century, and it's like, okay, that could be, a tongue-in-cheek reference to 10 Forward on the Enterprise D. But now this takes place uh before that by a few centuries. So the Enterprise D, which is on deck 10 in the forward section, is an homage to this bar, or just a really crazy coincidence, which neither of which
It's
is
just
really
no.
satisfying.
No, it was just a bad idea. Just call the
Hmm.
bar something else. It's
Yeah, that
fine.
was a little cutesy. The one thing in
Yeah,
this scene
just a
that
little.
little set dressing stuff that I enjoy is the license plate on one of the trucks says season 2 episode 1, which is the first episode that Guinan showed up in TNG. And also, somebody else pointed out the first episode Guinan shows up in Picard as well.
Mm,
So that was kind of funny.
that is kind of funny. There is also apparently a picture of a Next Generation shirt on the wall, and that is not okay. I'm sorry,
No,
that's not okay.
yeah, that doesn't
No,
make
that
sense.
step too far. Step too
Yeah,
far. Sorry, guys.
yeah. Absolutely.
Does not work.
Well, of
So,
course,
okay, I
at
want to
oh,
just
sorry.
really quickly, I want to address one thing. Okay, I'm kind of tired of explaining this, but I'm going to do it one more time. Agnes was not acting under her own power in most of season 1. She was being controlled by Commodore O, who had also inhibited her from being able to tell anyone about what was going on. She did not choose to commit murder. She did not want to commit murder. She was
Mhm.
being manipulated telepathically and with basically post mind meld suggestions. So, once she's finally free of that, which she frees herself of the tracking device by almost dying, that's when things finally turn around and Agnes gets to be herself again. So,
Mhm.
are you actually a murderer if it is not within your own power to stop the murder? Even though your body is committing the murder, are you still the murderer? Or is it something that is beyond your power? Which in this
Mhm.
case, it was. She did not want to do it. It's
Yeah,
very
and as
clear.
yeah. And as they explained, as they mentioned in episode 1 too, she was exonerated, right? Like she faced some sort of judgment at some point
Mhm.
and was cleared of it. So, yeah.
And the
Uh
problem is, and Marge is already bringing this up, is that we are having the same situation now with Agnes and the Borg Queen. Can't this woman just live her own life? Okay.
yes.
Okay. Back to
Yeah,
what we
I
were
have
talking about. My apologies.
no, it's all good. I have thoughts on that when we get to that episode for
Oh,
sure.
yes.
I have
Yes, yes,
thoughts on
yes.
that because
Mhm.
that was going through my head and I was kind of going, must we? But anyway,
Mhm.
we'll get there.
Yes.
So yeah, at 10 forward, of course, Picard encounters a somewhat familiar face. And I do have to admit to a few moments of a record scratch moment when Guinan comes out. But I have to say, out of everything, almost everything in this season so far, the one thing that I will sing the praises of from the rooftops is Ito's performance as Guinan. I think she nails it in a way that I was not expecting. Like I said, record scratch moment. I'm like, I don't know about this. Within 2 minutes, I'm on board. I loved her as Guinan. I thought she was just, like I said, one of the best things of this season so far.
I loved I I'm just like, okay, is this Guinan? Like maybe this is Guinan before children even. I mean, maybe she hasn't had all of those children yet. You don't even know. We don't even know because how long Elorians live. And so I was pretty certain it was Guinan. And so when he says Guinan and she says, yeah, I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, all right. Did you see the guns on that lady?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those arms, just like you are just she was stunning. She was stunning physically, and I appreciated her performance very much. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's like it's time travel. It's continuity is out the window. They're like,
Yeah.
but she was on Earth and blah 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 blah. And so I'm just like, no, I don't care. It's just wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, and I'm not going to worry about that aspect of it. I liked seeing this younger, more hopeful, but more easily discouraged Guinan. It was a very interesting way to portray this character, and it added a layer to our Guinan as well. And
Mm-hmm.
I just really, really loved her a lot.
Yeah. I felt exactly the same way. She
So
really
I
nailed
think
the
I'm delayed again.
performance.
Yeah.
I or I am. I don't know. I feel like my internet's not doing very well at the moment, but yeah, we'll hopefully be in sync here momentarily.
Join the
But
club.
but yeah, she was incredible. And so the time thing, the fact that she was in the 18th century and met Picard, 19th century and met Picard, it's been explained. And so here it is. The Picard that traveled back in time to the 19th century to meet Guinan does not exist anymore because the timeline has been overwritten. The Picard that we see in this episode is the horrible, evil General Picard from the alternate timeline. It's just that the memories and experience and consciousness or whatever of our Picard has been put into that body. So that timeline isn't going to happen as of right now, and it hasn't happened, yada, yada, yada. They will hopefully fix it, and then it will once again happen. But the funny thing is this episode and that explanation made me understand something that was said years ago that I did not buy. And that was when Simon Pegg talks about the Kelvin timeline and how when Nero destroys the Kelvin and all that, splits the timeline, that the effects of that can reverberate backwards and forwards through the timeline. And at the time I was like, that makes no sense. Everything that happened before. That doesn't make any sense. Then this episode comes along and I get that explanation and I'm like, oh, now I get it. Okay, now I get how that would work.
Right.
And yeah, because, okay, the other thing, going back once again, I apologize to the punk on the bus. The other thing that people bring up is that clearly he remembers being nerve pinched by Spock and he freaks out when Seven says what she says. So I just like the song, don't hurt me kind of thing. We're assuming that because that's a fun little Easter egg for us fans. If you really need to have that explained, then maybe the Confederation did send Kirk back in time to get humpback whales when the probe showed up in that timeline. Maybe Kirk strangled him. Maybe Sulu threatened him with a sword. Or maybe Kirk's Vulcan slave Spock did the thing. Or maybe some random person got mad at him once and punched him in the neck and had nothing to do with Kirk and Spock and them, and he's remembering that. So
could be.
It's not explicitly said. Who knows what happened?
Yeah.
And that's explaining away plot point nits with Dan and Brandi.
Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. All right. So, and I hope anybody who's watching, if you follow any of the Facebook groups, I don't know, all the Star Trek Facebook groups and stuff, the number of times a week that question has been asked as a separate post in those groups, that needs to end. The explanation is out there. We know why Guinan doesn't remember Picard from that episode. It won't happen, therefore it didn't happen.
Yeah, I find this very interesting about people today in general. It's like they'll think of a question and then they'll go to a group and post it there when they could just as easily find the answer themselves. And it happens all the time. I will have somebody ask me, well, what's this? What's that? And I'm like, do you not know how to use Google? Do you not have a smartphone? I mean, I can tell you, but you could have found out this information for yourself in less time than it took to ask me and wait for my response. It's just, why do people do that?
Who can say, right? I just thought of another explanation. If someone needs yet another explanation, the punk on the bus is yet another Elorian who is visiting Earth, and they're having the time echo thing when Seven says that. So, and he's like, I feel really for some reason. So there you go. We could come up with more if you
I
want.
love it. Beautiful. I love it. It's wonderful.
So yeah, so while this is all happening, basically Picard thinks Guinan is the Watcher, and he's trying to convince her to stay because she's about to leave Earth. And meanwhile, Rios is in ice detention. Like I said, we get some scenes with him and Teresa, which who is just I somebody pointed this out on the Weekly Trek uh, podcast. Jen Tift, that was it. She pointed this out on the Weekly Trek podcast. How awesome it is that it's almost become a Star Trek trope now that when there's a time travel back in time to Earth's past, they meet this amazing woman who is like the best that our society has to offer in that moment, right? We've got Edith Keeler in the original series. We've got Gillian Taylor, who has that deep love of whales. Rain Robinson in Voyager. Someone else pointed out, and I missed this in my original post, but Lily in First Contact, I think because it wasn't to present day, I wasn't thinking of First Contact at the time, but absolutely Lily is totally in that group as well. And then now we have Teresa, the doctor from the clinic, right? I love that. I love that it's become a trope practically. I'm like, that's a trope I can get behind.
But why can't we have the woman who has the man? You know, it's always the guy finding a girl.
There was one that didn't fit into the category, and I can't remember now. This is where my tiredness is coming, and I thought it did work the other way around, but now I can't think of it. It's gone. Oh well. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I love it. You know, I think she's an amazing character. I don't know how or why, but I would love to see more of her this season somehow. I hope she comes in and helps out somehow. I don't know. But she's a great addition, and I think she's really cool.
Yes. And, you know, I've heard criticisms of those scenes when they're in the ice detainment facility and people acting like that's not how this works. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. You think that this is not how it works? You think that there's actual fairness going on at the border? Do you? Is that what you think? You don't watch the news ever. And I don't even watch the news. And I still know that that is absolutely what goes on at the border and worse. And what goes on in ICE custody and worse. Duh.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for this. We need to listen to this one. Absolutely. 100%. Yes. Oh, yeah. So, okay. Where are we with this?
One thing I wanted to mention.
Please.
Before, because when we were talking about Guinan, I forgot to bring this up. The dog. The dog.
Oh, yes.
That was such a sweet dog, and obviously, you know, Patrick Stewart's going to get a pit bull in there anytime he can. Because despite all of this BS about them being an aggressive breed, there's no such thing as an aggressive breed. That is taught behavior. And just when he was immediately telling her to sit, and she just sits down and looks up at him like, hi. Just such a happy girl. And when Guinan gives her to her friend to take care of her, that destroyed me. That destroyed me.
Yeah, absolutely. This dog that we've known for a few moments, and this character that we've known in this iteration for only a few moments, that pet companion relationship there is just so apparent. And yeah, that was, as someone who's owned dogs most of his life, yeah, I felt that one. Yeah. Absolutely.
That was hard.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about Girardi and the Borg Queen, and we'll have more to say on them, of course, in the next episode for sure. But this episode had some great stuff too. With so that's how they get the transporters online when they get connected with Raffi and Seven again. The Borg Queen's helping out in exchange for Girardi basically keeping her company, providing a voice and you know combating the loneliness. When all's said and done, and they beam Seven and Raffi to go intercept the bus that Rios is on, the fact that Girardi just walks away
Mm-hmm.
and the Borg Queen, I was like, it's a dangerous game you're playing there, Girardi. I love it. I think that was great, but that feels dangerous to me. Um, that was wonderful though. That scene
Oh,
was.
that was a power move right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think she impressed the Borg Queen again, but not as not in such a nice way as she was
Yeah.
thinking last time. I think so. Yeah, that was fun. Um, yeah, and we've got like I said, Rios is being moved on the bus, and we've got Seven and um, oh my goodness, I almost said Girardi. I'm sorry, Seven and Raffi standing by basically to stop the bus somehow, and that's where the episode ends. And or for them anyway, that's where the episode ends. And I was feeling it more so this season than any other season of modern Star Trek since Discovery season 1. Is boy is this season ever just chapters in a novel, right? Like this is one for sure that I think like a year or 2 or 3 from now I'm going to be really hard pressed to remember what happened in which episode, because it really is just one big long story. I had that feeling of like, wait, that's the credits. What's going on? That thing wasn't resolved. This wasn't resolved, and I've really had to kind of adjust my expectations, which I thought already had been adjusted by the new modern era of Star Trek, but this like even more so than ever. We've got that going on here.
Yeah, it's great when you have 3 screeners that you can watch back to back if you so choose. That's not
Mm.
what we did, but, it's because I've seen the screeners and I can't remember where one episode ended and the next began, I have to go back and make sure exactly where the episode that we're talking about, well, in this case it's 2, ends, so that I don't do anything or say anything about the stuff that other people haven't seen yet, that hasn't been released to the public. So when we rewatched episode 5, I very, very carefully framed in my mind, okay, this ends here. You do not get to say anything past this point, even though there's a lot of stuff you want to say. You can't say it. Cannot say
Ooh,
it. So, yeah,
yeah,
it's been a
that would
challenge
be
with the season.
tough for sure. Oh man. Yeah, cuz okay, so let's get to the end of this episode then, because I'm sure we all want to talk about Fly Me to the Moon, the next episode. But Picard is introduced to the Watcher in a roundabout way by Guinan. We get this scene where the Watcher, I guess, is controlling the bodies of various random people to get him to her. And boy, that was really reminding me of a television show at the time, and I could not for the life of me remember what the heck it was. But if anybody in the comments, or if you have watched Travelers, it's
Oh, yes.
yeah, that's how they sent messages back in time, was they like took over the body of, I think it was kids
Mhm.
exclusively in that, and then like they'd snap out of it and be like, where the heck am I? And they'd be like, run along, kid, what are you doing here? Totally reminded me of that, and it was bugging me so much watching this episode. But yes, that was it. I just had to get that off my chest, I guess.
No, I totally get that. Well, the thing that bothers me is that if somebody suddenly took over your body and then you blink and you're in another place, like to you it's a blink and suddenly you're standing in front of some old guy you've never seen before, and everybody just walks away slightly bemused. Really? Really?
Yeah.
I would freak the hell out.
I just assumed that like the technology like put something in their brain that made it explained to them. Like it was like momentary confusion, but their brain was like, it's okay, you're fine. Just okay.
I
That's
hope
what I
so.
just assumed. Just based on their reactions, I thought like it had to be for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah. Um yeah. So we do eventually get to meet the Watcher, and she turns around and gasp, it's Orla Brady. Um Not Laris, rounded ears. What's going on? And I do have to say, I was totally thinking earlier when they said like supervisors. I was like, Gary Seven in the original series called himself Supervisor 192 or 197, something like that. I was like, is that it? And that little transporter effect at the end, I was like, that's totally it, right? And then we get to the next episode, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. So I felt
Totally
vindicated
is.
by that. I was like, if as unpredictable as generally like things have been in modern Star Trek, I got one right. I'm so happy. That's one in the win column for me. Oh, what
Yeah, well done, Dan.
Supervisor 194. Thank you, Patrick. I had it surrounded. Excellent. um so yeah, that's not quite the end of the episode though, because we see a mystery blonde woman. Again, we've seen the next episode. It's not a mystery, but for the sake of this episode, it is. And Q seems very intent on her for some reason. And no powers. Q doesn't seem to be able to do what he's trying to do, which I thought that was an interesting point to end the episode on.
Well, I was actually expecting this from pretty much the second episode because Picard even says to him, Q, you are not well. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever is going on is affecting probably the entire continuum. Continuum. I can say the words.
Hmm.
So it's just, I just don't know exactly why it's happening. But I was not surprised because I'm just like, they basically hung a lantern on this in the beginning of the season, really. So,
Yeah, and I don't think it was supposed to be a surprise. Like maybe a surprise to
yeah.
Q, but yeah, I wasn't surprised at all either, for sure. I didn't
Yeah.
think it was supposed to be a surprise.
So wasn't and though we don't really know yet, I mean we kind of do know that that is Renee Picard. Uh she's reading a Dixon Hill book?
I did like that. Yep, Tracy Torme as the writer. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. It's just kind of like, okay, that's two Dixon Hill references. And was it in one episode or back-to-back episodes? One or the other. I can't remember.
I think I was
But
in
yeah.
this episode where Girardi called him Dixon Hill. It's like, okay,
Yeah, look
Dixon
at you.
Hill or something.
Yeah. She said, "Look at you, Dixon Hill." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Do we have to do that twice?"
Hmm.
I don't know.
Oh,
I
you
think
didn't.
I would have liked it better had she not called him Dixon Hill and we had just seen Renee reading the book.
Hmm.
So, that's just my
Okay.
opinion.
Yeah. I liked the Dixon Hill reference at the beginning because to me it was like it just felt like the 24th century of no, Sherlock. I don't know. I just like that like, oh, something new has entered the modern vernacular. And I don't know. I thought that was great.
Yeah, it just seems unlikely to me that Dixon Hill would be so well known that Girardi would know who the character was.
Hmm.
And I doubt that Picard has regaled her with stories of him playing Dixon Hill on the holodeck. So, I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe not.
It just didn't seem like that widely known of a thing, but maybe that's just me.
Well, Voyager kind of implies that it is, though, because Paris knows the publisher of the Dixon Hill holo novels. Like,
Okay.
oh, I guess, yeah, maybe you haven't gotten there yet, but Yeah, the doctor's talking about a publisher of one of his stories, and Paris says, "Oh, the publishers of the Dixon Hill holo programs." So
Okay, that's
yeah,
fair. That's
yeah,
fair.
maybe it's a
I
yeah.
just haven't gotten there yet in Voyager. Sorry.
No, that's all good. I forgot momentarily that you weren't there yet. So I think that might be
I'm
season
gonna get
7.
there.
So
Oh wow, I really have not gotten there yet.
all right. So yeah, we've kind of blown through that episode. Anything that we haven't mentioned for Watcher that we want to mention? I don't know if we want to do ratings because
The
again,
whole
it's
car
still
chase. Hello.
oh yeah, the car chase. Okay. That's true.
I just, it I just really enjoyed how real that was because you see the hair flying to one side as they're basically going around corners really tight and just them bickering the whole time. I actually enjoyed that. And then of course them getting transported out at the last minute. Of course it's going to be the last minute.
Mhm.
So at least there was that. But it was just phew, it was I enjoyed that because basically Ralphie straight up says, "Oh, yeah, I could have just, unlocked the door, but it's no fun doing it that way."
Yeah, she had to work out some stuff, and she really wanted to fire a phaser.
Really, really did. Really, really did.
Yeah,
Yeah, they are,
absolutely.
they it was that was fun. That was entertaining. I did think it took far too long for the LAPD to catch up with them, but,
Yeah,
convenience.
yeah, yeah. But then, of course, we get the where'd they go? They beam out right in front of everybody there. Hopefully, not too many butterflies getting schmooshed there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Fingers
couldn't be helped,
crossed.
I guess.
Well, it could have been, but,
Yeah. Oh, I did note that line as well. That was good. I'm not the only. She's probably
here's
actually
the
pretty much at home on the LA freeways. Like, yeah, that's about normal.
the thing that I have noticed, and I have driven in on the Los Angeles freeways, is that it's not that the drivers are bad, it's just that there are too many cars, basically. But, I mean, I know what bad drivers are like because we have a state full of them here. Utah has some of the worst drivers in the nation. But you go to California and you turn on your turn signal to change lanes, and they let you in. They
That
make
blows
room
my
for
mind.
you.
They
They
don't
make
do that
room
where I
for
live.
you. Yeah, they don't do that here either. You know what else they do? They don't run red lights. They don't run red lights. That happens here
Wow.
all the damned time. And they
Mhm.
are just in general pretty courteous because it seems like they realize, oh, we're all in this together and this is a horrible thing and it's going to take you, 20 you need to go 20 miles, it's going to take you 3 hours. So just buckle in. We've all got a stake in this. We're going to help each other out.
Mhm. Yeah, Alberta drivers are terrible, and I would venture to say Grand Prairie drivers, the city I'm from, are the worst, or at least worse than the bigger cities in Alberta because uh, there was one moment that's another thing. I'll drive in Edmonton, which is our capital city, and same thing. Like I'll signal, and someone will let me in, like on the white mud, one of the main roads there, or something. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. There was one time I was driving in Edmonton, and this person whipped around me and just like right off my front bumper and cut me off, and I was like, what the heck? I wasn't used to that in Edmonton. And I look at the back of his truck, and it said like Grand Prairie Chrysler, like the dealership, and I'm like, yep, there you go. So
Mhm.
some very
Yeah.
local niche observations there, but there you go.
Yeah. Here, everyone would rather die than let you in front of them. They will cut
Mhm.
you off so fast, and they will also just like they'll ride your bumper. There's so much tailgating here.
Oh yeah.
So much tailgating here, riding your bumper, and then they'll pass you very quickly and almost take your front fender off while they're getting back on the road in front of you. And then oftentimes slow down. And they would rather risk missing their exit than to get in the lane beforehand. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen people, okay, in a 4-lane freeway, I have seen people in the farthest left-hand lane suddenly just swerve across 4 lanes of traffic onto an off-ramp. This is
Oh
stuff
yeah.
that happens all the time here. It's like there's some sort of status race going on here, and
Mm-hmm.
you only win if you can pass as many cars, to get to your destination 2 seconds faster.
That sounds very familiar. Yeah.
So
Uh,
awful.
yeah, absolutely. Well, one thing that wasn't awful, I think, personally, is this episode and this storyline. And I'm definitely interested. I'm definitely excited for what happens next. And do we want to give ratings for this episode, or do we want to just jump to the next episode and kind of do our thoughts on both episodes together?
Oh, let's just do both episodes together because it's the same story. So, I
Yeah,
mean, if we were doing 2 different episodes of Trek, but we're doing 2 episodes of Picard, so let's just do it all in one go, one fell swoop, as
yeah,
they say.
for sure. So yeah, Patrick, I'll throw your rating up there, but keep it to the end as well. We'll yeah, we'll put ratings for both of these episodes together, because now we've got Fly Me to the Moon, which, first of all, I love whimsical Star Trek titles, and that was fun. I don't know. I like that. I like that they use that as the title. You
I
know.
wonder how many Star Trek episodes have titles that are song titles.
Oh, see, that's a thing for another live stream, because I will sit here and go through them all, and like we could do that.
Yes, put that in your back pocket. Make a note.
Hmm. Maybe an episode of Positively Trek. Favorite Star Trek episode that's a song title.
Nice.
Song
Like it.
titles. Yeah. All right.
There are
Okay.
there are
So
at least 2.
yes, at least.
At least. I mean, just 2 that come to mind, but there's more than that.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was the other one I thought of.
Same.
Okay. So, yeah, we've got the let's I've got this episode kind of divided into chunks as well. Let's start with the Borg Queen, because that is quite the story in this episode. I love that the Borg Queen calls the cops. She
Mhm.
realizes she has access to the cell phone towers and calls the cops. Something
Yeah,
about that.
she doesn't have access. She has to go through a fair few voice patterns to finally hit the right one to
Yes.
unlock that option for her.
Yep. Which was fun in and of itself as well. You know, that was kind of fun to see. But yeah, the fact that she calls the cops as this, plaintive voice calling for help. I first of all, why did they just send one guy? Oh, but anyway, probably a good thing in that only one person got
Yeah,
put in
because
danger,
that
but still. Oh, I'm not sure if I'm frozen or Brandy's
yeah,
frozen.
that's not
Oh, there we go.
that's not how that works. I don't think that's how it works even in France. Am I frozen? Am I
Uh,
frozen?
no, you seem to be back now.
How about now? How about now?
Yeah,
How about
you're
now?
good. Oh,
How about
maybe there's
now?
just a
Am
big
I back?
delay.
How about now? Am I back?
um,
Okay, cool.
anyway, okay. All
All
right.
right.
I don't know how much of a delay there is, because, yeah, anyway. yeah, so we've got this one cop, Leclerc, who goes and responds to the call, and is just about to discover Girardi when he notices the cloaked ship,
Tell me when
makes
you
his
hear
way
this.
on board. Okay, I heard that now. Riveting. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is just not working.
Wow, that's a huge delay.
Yes, I will say that's a huge delay. This is not good. I don't even remember what I was saying now. Okay. Tell me when you hear this, I guess.
Right now. I'm going to go back.
Oh, okay. Not sure who's having the issues, if it's me or Brandi. Apologies to everybody for all of that. Hopefully we can get that sorted soon, but yeah, so we've got the Borg Queen calling the cops, and somebody pointed out, I think probably my favorite line in there, which was Patrick. Yes, the nicotine addiction. I can help you with that. Um, that was appropriately chilling.
Yes, I didn't miss much because there was quite a delay. And apparently there
Yes,
still
there was
is.
a very big delay. Absolutely. Um, so yeah, I guess thoughts on anything else in this scene that you want to talk about, or
Oh, it's the Borg Queen being the Borg Queen, know it all, getting whatever she wants. I did like her sounding so scared. And again, this cop really, it shouldn't have been just one cop, especially
mm-hmm.
responding in a place that's so remote and abandoned. You definitely send two people for that. But,
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. That struck me as a little odd for sure. But as somebody else pointed out, we do get the trope as well, or the cliche of he lights up the cigarette, French cop. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I put it to you that British cops are as bad.
Well, if they had crashed in the UK, there would have been a cop that walked in and said, "What's all this thing?" So, you got to have the
No, that would be a beat cop. You don't have an investigator doing that.
Well, I'm not saying it's realistic. I'm saying this is what American filmmakers would put on the screen for us to watch.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah, so uh I was surprised that she didn't immediately assimilate this guy. But of course, we do find out later that she wants to assimilate Girardi. And if need be, she'll assimilate this guy. But she's using him to lure Girardi in, of course. And yeah, Girardi has the wherewithal to grab the firearm and arm herself because, she's I liked that she had the forethought to do that rather than just kind of wander in. Like she kind of knows to protect herself a little bit here.
Yeah, that actually bothered me because
Hmm.
Chateau Picard is abandoned, but there is this pristine shotgun up above the fireplace that has been there for some time, and A, still works, B, still has ammunition in it, and C, aren't there phasers on the ship?
I liked it. I liked that she didn't know where in the ship things would accost her, I guess. So, I mean, she could have grabbed a phaser on her way there once she realized it was safe, but I liked that she armed herself before she went anywhere near the ship because that to me shows that she was thinking. Like, I wouldn't wander in there hoping to find a phaser before whatever it was got me. Well, she knows it's the Borg Queen, but who knows what traps she has set for her kind of thing. So, I like that.
Well, the thing is that she wouldn't want to harm Agnes because she wants to assimilate her. So she's not going to set any traps, except for, exchange your life for the life of this poor, hapless cop.
Yeah, but she doesn't know that. Like, she could walk in there and the Borg Queen could be right there ready to assimilate her, right?
Nah,
Like,
I
you
guess
you
that's
arm
fair, but
yourself.
yeah, but again, still the fact that the shotgun looked so new and had still worked and had ammunition is just a little much for me.
Fair enough. And that, I'm not arguing that for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's okay.
So yeah, we've got Rios, of course, on the bus, in ICE custody, and Seven and Rafi standing by to stop them. Rafi, of course, immediately going for the phaser, and Seven saying, like, no, Rafi, we need to, like, think this through. And I was right there with Seven, because I was like, you've got a tricorder. Does not the bus have electrical systems? We've seen this before. You can do this with a tricorder. And sure enough, I'm assuming that was an EMP that
Mhm.
shorted out the bus's electronics and brought it to a stop. And I love also in this scene that Rios is on top of things, and he's just like, be ready. Something's going to
Yep.
happen here. That was great.
Yes, yes. I actually really appreciated that because he knew that they were gonna come for him. There was
Mhm.
never any doubt in his mind, and, so he was just waiting. He was basically just waiting, biding his time, and complying because he really couldn't do anything else. So, yeah, he was just like, "Okay, guys, we're almost to the border. You really better find me by now." And then
So
the EMP happens, he's like, "Oh, yes, okay."
yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I mean, obviously, it's just a little kind of funny joke thing, but I think we saw the origin of the Starfleet double fist punch here. That's just like become Starfleet standard because the guy's handcuffed. That was wonderful.
Well, how else are you gonna punch a dude when you're handcuffed?
That was great. I loved Rios's reaction to that. Like, he's like, "Oh, nice," It's like, that's what they teach us at the academy too. Good job.
Kirk Fu to the rescue.
Yeah. And the sad part is, what was going through my head was Ransom. Double fist punch.
That was my second thought. My first thought was, Kirk Fu." My second thought was, Ransom."
Hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, he's rescued. We're safe for now, I guess. So and again, this is where I'm running into, it's interesting where they're cutting the episodes, because it's kind of funny that part of the story just kind of continues from the last episode. We get that resolution fairly early here, and there's something at the end of this episode that gives me similar thoughts, that it's interesting how this season is cut, where the episodes end and where they begin and stuff, because it was really just kind of the tail end of that story from the last episode. I'm not criticizing. I think it's an
Mm.
interesting way to tell the story, and it's definitely bringing me along each week. But it's different to how we've, even in this new era, like I said, it's different to how we've kind of been conditioned to watch Star Trek, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. Absolutely. So, it's I had honestly hoped we weren't gonna spend this much time in the past.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, I'm just like, "Oh, Lord, this is gonna be the whole season, isn't it?"
Yeah, and see, I kind of just assumed that going in. I didn't
Yeah.
yeah. Huh,
I don't
interesting.
know. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, it's all good. It's all good. I'll take it as it comes. I haven't seen past episode 6, so I can't, say for sure what happens after that anyway, and I can't say anything about episode 6 in the first place. So, um, yeah, it's really is just like watching a really long movie.
Mhm. Yeah, which, like, again, I'm not I'm here for. Like, I want a 10-hour Star Trek film. I'm okay with that.
Yes, I just have to pause it now and then because I cannot hold my pee for 10 hours. And no one should.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately for most of us anyway, they make us pause it for a whole week. So which is a little torturous
Rude.
sometimes, right?
So rude. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's jump over to Talin then, who we find out is the name of the Laris lookalike, the supervisor, and we find out a bit about her mission. She's here to watch over and protect Renee Picard, who, of course, is the blonde woman we saw at the end of the last episode and at the very beginning of this episode in a training simulation. She's an astronaut who's set to go on this mission, but lately she's been experiencing doubts, and these doubts have been fueled by her psychiatrist or therapist, who, of course, as soon as we heard the voice, I'm like, okay, it's Q. Like, Picard, you didn't pick up on that right away. He kind of did, but he suspected, but he had to see him to be sure. Yeah, we've got Q for some reason planting doubts in her mind. Apparently, if she scrubs this, if she doesn't go, this could be. Now they think it's the thing that leads to the future. I think, based on what we see in the episode, it's one of a couple things that lead to the future that we see later. But apparently some part of it rests in the hands of Renee Picard going on this mission, and Q is trying to stop her from doing so. So what's that all about? What's Q up to here?
I am not entirely certain yet what Q is up to, and it bothers me that therapy is being portrayed in this way, frankly, because this is absolutely not what a therapist does. They don't tell you what to do. They help you figure out what it is that's going on in your own brain. They don't lead you down a certain path. That is terrible therapy. Terrible.
Well,
and
I think,
unfortunately, he's praying. I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah. Oh, I was gonna say intentionally so. Like Picard even picks up on that. And he's like, "What? Why is this therapist doing that?" And then he's like, "Wait, oh, it's Q."
Well, and just the fact that Renee herself is prey to this, and that she wouldn't know the difference between, the therapy that she's had up to this point, and now suddenly this therapist is doing. I mean, that should have been a huge red flag for as smart as she is. However, it is my opinion that she probably has bipolar disorder. It's not just depression, it's also the mania and this belief that you can do anything. Actually, mania isn't fun. It isn't fun at all. People think, oh, well, actually, that would be the easier side of this. It's not, because you just can't stop. You cannot stop. You make terrible decisions. And when you've come back down from that mania, your life could be in shambles just from one manic episode. It's horrifying. Bipolar disorder sucks. I'm speaking from experience. So I was the first one that just said, that girl's bipolar. Yeah. It's not just depression. It's that other coin too.
Yeah. And further to your point that Renee doesn't pick up on this, I think it should also be noted that Talin doesn't pick up on this either. It's Picard that sees this, and that should have been red flags for her as well. If she's keeping such close tabs on Renee, that, it's weird that she doesn't pick up that this is not normal, that this shouldn't be happening like that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got that's going on, which leads to the mission that they're going to go to this gala. We'll get to that in a minute, because Q is also playing this other angle, and we meet Adam Sung, another member of the Sung family who looks like Brent Spiner. Yep.
Big size.
Who has a daughter who looks remarkably like Soji as well.
You mean exactly? Exactly like Soji? Yes.
Remarkably so, yes.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, Issa Briones, okay, cool. I'm glad we've got her back. I'm happy for that for sure because I was kind of like, is she just gone now? So I'm glad they've got her in this other role. And she has this genetic disorder that Sung is trying to cure. And we see basically he's like a pre-Eric Sung from Enterprise. He's working on genetic modifications and all that kind of stuff. And I kept kind of waiting for it to tie into the eugenics wars, even though oddly enough, the eugenics wars are 30 years in the past at this point because
Mhm.
Star Trek. Um, I don't remember those happening, but Greg Cox has a series of novels that are great that explain why we don't remember it. But anyway, um, yeah, so we learn this whole thing, and Q is basically making Sung indebted to him by providing this cure for his daughter, which is temporary and wears off. But now that he's seen how it works, he'll basically do anything for Q to get this cure that will last now. So, um, yeah, this is another one that's just a big question mark because we don't know what the end goal is here. We do see that Sung is a revered figure in the Confederation years later. So
Mm.
obviously this is another big part of leading to that future that Q's doing. So I won't ask you, of course, what Q's up to because you've seen ahead. You have crib notes. That's not a good idea, but um, this is
You
one of
act
those
as
big.
if that you act as if that was revealed in the next episode, and I can neither confirm nor deny.
Well, no, and I'm just under the assumption that you've seen more story, like
Just one
regardless of
more,
whether
just
it's
one.
answered or not. You know,
Yeah,
I don't know.
just one more.
But any thoughts on any of that without giving anything away? I guess.
Um, I wonder why he called his daughter Corey, for one thing. That's a
Hmm.
very old name. That's actually Persephone's original name, and the
Oh,
name
okay.
that people actually know her by when she is having her 6 months on Earth. Because Persephone actually means bringer of death,
Hmm.
whereas Kore is a word that represents innocence, virginity, that sort of thing. So maybe that's why he named her Kore, is because she's so innocent. She doesn't get to have a normal life because of her condition. And so she's innocent to the madness of the world. I don't know, but it's just an odd name to name somebody even in 2024.
Hmm. Interesting. So that's why I love talking about this stuff with you because I never think to look into some of that stuff unless it's something that I already, like, oh, the reference. That's awesome. So thank you. That's really cool. I'm gonna look into that now because I'm excited. I love stuff like that. So very cool. Um yeah, that's kind of where my mind's at too, Patrick.
Yeah, well, I was a big fan of Greek mythology long before Firefly was a glimmer in anyone's eye. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of going on. Big question mark there. What's going to happen? Not sure. Again, this is just the way the season's structured. It's a bunch of questions. But Picard and crew, his ragtag band of heroes, alongside Talin, um, learn about this gala that Renee is going to be attending with the funders of the. What a statement, by the way, on our modern world that like she's got to go and kowtow to the the financial backers of this mission and stuff. And I'm just like, oh, I bet you Starfleet captains don't have to go and put on black tie. And anyway, uh
They sure don't. When they have a party, it's on, a star base and you have to be on the list to get in.
yes,
And
Yeah.
Okana's always the DJ. I don't know how he DJs all those parties, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's this gala, like I said, and they have to get in. The security is really, really tight. They're able to get one person in, but they, in order to get everybody in, they have to hack the system. So they send Girardi in. This is all a little bit convoluted and kind of whatever, but I'm going along with it. I'm like, okay, all right. I don't know. There's a bunch of questions, but that's okay. I'm going along with it. And they do the like, oh, intentionally captured thing, in order to get her into the security room. Luckily, she's put in the security room and not some like special holding cell. Like, good thing that didn't happen. But um, she's there, and in this scene, of course, we learn that something else happened when she apparently shot the Borg Queen. As the Borg Queen was dying, we get the injection of the nanoprobes into Girardi, and the Borg Queen is apparently along for the ride, which, judging by your face, which is kind of what I was doing internally a little bit watching this, we potentially have a repeat of last season where Girardi is not herself and is under at least the influence of the Borg Queen, if not commandeered by her in some way, which I'm disappointed in for sure.
Mhm. Mhm. And the thing is I suspected it immediately. I'm like, there's no way
Yeah,
in
of
hell that the Borg
course.
Queen didn't get inside her. No way in hell.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just very disappointed to find out it was true. It's like, not this again. I'm just so frustrated by how they've characterized her. It's like, just let her live her life. Let her be a normal person. I don't know. Let her crew members, her friends, treat her with equality. Because they, like when Picard says that she's the one that's going to go in and Rios is questioning that, I'm like, shut your mouth. Shut
Yes.
your mouth. Ugh, just,
Yeah, and her reaction, yeah, we get it. That was perfect. I was like, yeah, I know I'm not a trained whatever. Just shut it. That was good. I like that.
yeah, she shouldn't have to she
Agreed.
shouldn't have to say that at this point. She shouldn't have to. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
mm.
So yeah, that's again kind of where we leave this, at a little bit of a like, we get like what the next thing is going to be in the next episode, but we just get the like beginning of it, and it's cut off right there, which again, I'm not criticizing. They've very clearly chosen to tell this story in a particular way. It's just interesting that, like I said, like in a year from now, when I say, oh, the heist episode where they break into the gala, I'll be like, wait, does that mean this episode or the next one? Because the stories are straddling. So it's interesting.
Yes. But it does make for confusion as to where the freaking episode ends.
Yes, absolutely. I again, every single time I'm not surprised necessarily, but I'm disappointed when the credits come up, because I'm like, ah, why right now? Darn it. Yeah. But yeah, very ably directed by Jonathan Frakes, of course. I thought that was fun. He got to direct kind of a heist episode, or at least the beginning of a heist episode. I don't know.
Yeah, and we also have a cameo from our previous episode director, Leah Thompson.
Okay, I've only watched it the one time, so I did see that afterwards,
Okay,
but I haven't had a
yeah.
chance to go through and watch it again.
In the very beginning, when Soong is arguing his research before the committee, she's the one that's talking him down, and the one who tells him that he's not allowed to do any of this research
Oh,
again.
of course she is.
Yep.
Oh, man, I didn't realize that, because when I saw comments online, I thought it was like a background cameo thing. So
She had
I
lines
wasn't.
and everything.
That's amazing. Oh, I'm disappointed in myself. Oh, wow. That's so cool. Lorraine Mcfly is in Star Trek now.
Yep. Yes, she is. she's getting
Very, very
around as a
cool.
director. I mean, she's
Yes.
doing a lot of stuff. So good for her.
Absolutely. And honestly, like the previous 2 episodes, direction-wise were incredible. Like I thought she did an incredible job. I'm so glad Star Trek is using her talent to bring these episodes to us because she's really, really good. Oh, of
Yeah.
course that was Leah Thompson. Oh man, I'm kicking myself now. Oh,
I'm sorry. The
no,
glasses. The glasses threw you off. Just it's fine.
yes, that was obviously it. um Anything with regards to this episode we haven't talked about that you would like to bring up? So I guess final thoughts and ratings for, I guess, both of these
Yeah.
episodes.
I wonder how many people called that phone number on the bottom of Q's calling card, because I did
I did too. I paid
multiple
probably.
times.
I called it the once because that is an international call. So I was like, this is probably costing me a bit, but I wanted to hear it firsthand too. That was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I did it on speakerphone, and Dave and I both listened to it and just giggled. And then I played it for my coworker Chris, because I told her, yeah, that there was an actual phone number in the episode that you could call. She goes, well, what does it say? And I'm like, oh, here, I'll play it for you. I'll call it right now. She thought it was hilarious. So yeah, it was good times.
Okay. Thomas, I have to admit I had that exact same question too.
Mhm.
Like that seemed like an odd set or an odd location for them to film at. And it was like about halfway through that scene I was like, "Wait, this looks like a hallway."
Mhm.
It seemed really weird. So I kind of snagged on that too. So definitely a good
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, I just looked at it and I'm just like, I don't have the brain power to figure out why the hell they did this the way they did. The scene itself was good, so that's fine, but it's just like I can't
Mhm.
headcanon this. I just don't care.
And now
So
it just bugs me that I noticed that and not Leah Thompson.
priorities, Dan.
Man, I must have been tired when I watched it too. Um,
Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, I can't think of anything else except for, mentioning Leigh Thompson. And so I guess I need to do a rating. Um I there's just a there's some good things, and there's some things that just make me go, ugh. So it's kind of a balance, but I will rate it overall, both episodes, one Rios telling the ice guard the absolute truth of who he is and where he comes from, and how funny it was to hear him realize how absurd it sounded when he was saying it out loud.
Yeah, like halfway through, he just kind of starts going, huh, yeah. I love that. That was great. Bringing me back, and people have mentioned this, of course, Chekhov in Star Trek 4 doing that. I also was thinking of Kirk in Tomorrow is Yesterday. I'm a little green man from Alpha Centauri. Beautiful place. You ought to see it. I don't know. I love that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed both of these episodes. I'm probably at about a 8 out of 10, just generally speaking. So I'm not as blown away as I was the first few episodes. I'm kind of settling into the story a little bit, which is probably good. Like that's probably how I should be feeling, I guess, about it. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm curious to see where everything goes. Again, it's just hard to, without knowing the full picture. It's like rating a novel when you're on chapter 6 or 7 out of 10, right? So, and we're not even there yet.
Mhm.
So, um, yeah, tough to say, but I'd say, yeah, 8 out of 10. I'm going to go with tricorder EMP bursts. So, yeah,
Yeah. I
not bad.
will say about John Delancey, or Q, doing his best Sigmund Freud, still hot.
Yes, and it's not the
Still
first.
still hot. Yeah.
Yes, Absolutely. And it's not his first German doctor impression too. The episode Tapestry, he did the same thing when Picard, in the alternate reality where he comes back and he's a lieutenant junior grade, he goes to Crusher's office and Q's there in Crusher's chair, and he turns around and he's like, oh, I'm gonna embarrass myself. Well, Lieutenant Picard. So yeah, he kind of does that too. Mine was way worse, so just block that from your memory.
Yeah, it's all good.
But,
it's all good.
So yeah, just collecting everybody's reviews here. Yeah, some good ratings. Oops, there we go. 7 of 9. It's somehow perfect. Yeah.
Nice.
You know, TJ, I did have the same thought when I said 8 out of 10. I usually go with lowest common denominator as well. Having been a high school math teacher, yes, that is absolutely right. I
4
happened
out
to
of
look
5.
at somebody else's out of 10 rating, so I gave it out of 10 as well, even though, yes, lowest common denominator should be 4 out of 5. Absolutely. So thank you.
And this is why I don't do like a number rating anymore. I just, pick something from the episode.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, you and me both. I just thought about Prodigy the other day, and I was just like, oh, that's such a good show. I'm such a fresh take on Star Trek. I'm excited for that as well. So yeah, I guess if there's nothing else, sorry, Stefan. Yes, I apologize. It's awful in television and on Kurtrat's Productions. So yeah.
Yeah, we accept this judgment.
Fair, absolutely fair. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. Hopefully we'll be back next week. My schedule is so crazy, but we will make every effort to be back next week, absolutely, for the next episode. But until then, Brandi, where can people follow you online?
Well, people can follow me online at places. By the way, DJ Kitty Cat, yeah, that's all Spock back there. All Spock. Yeah. And there's stuff I haven't even put up yet that I'm still trying to work in. And yeah, I have a thing
There we go.
going on. Yeah. I've got a thing. See, there's another one there. And yeah, he's blocking a couple of things. But yeah, I've got a lot of fan art because there wasn't a lot of art to be had for Beardy Spock or just Ethan Spock in general. So yeah, I'm kind of getting ahead of the curve when it comes to that, and I'm just going to be, I'm going to switch when Strange New Worlds actually begins. It's going to be more, beardless Spock, because that's what we'll have more of. Not that I am complaining. I will take him in any form. Absolutely, will take him in any form. But yes, Brandywine12 on Twitter. That's where you can find me and where you'll find out what weird things I'm posting about, which isn't very often because honestly, my life is really busy right now. So I'm not on a lot of social media. I'm not on Twitter a lot, but if you come by and say hi, I will see it. So yeah, that's where you find me. What about you, Dan? Dan, where are you? Where are you, Dan?
You can find me not being insulted at all. I was honestly hoping that my very horrible impression didn't insult you. So no, you're fine. Don't worry about that. But yes, you can find me online. I'm at Kurtrats on Twitter, KERTRATS, and of course in the Positively Trek podcast with Bruce Gibson that comes out every week and every other Friday for our book club episode as well. So yeah, that's where you can find me pretty much. Very briefly, yes, all of those promos are amazing. I've seen them all except for the Pike one, which I see is on my YouTube queue, and I have not watched that one yet. But yeah, those promos. I remember a few weeks ago we were like, why is there no Strange New Worlds trailer? What's going on? And now we have more trailers for it than any other show. So
yeah,
very happy.
well, I also find it interesting that Spock was in every single one of them.
Oh,
Even
yeah,
if even
interesting.
if it was even if it was only his voice or just his visage, he was in
Hmm.
every single one of them. And I'm like, yes, yes, give me all of the Spock. I want it. So
Yeah.
sorry, I
Yeah,
really I have a thing.
it's an okay thing to have. I have
Mhm.
I have my one little piece of Spock artwork, which is I'll this is my one that I'm so much reflection.
Oh, so nice
Yeah,
though.
it's the only sketch card I've ever pulled from Star Trek packs so far, and I really love
Lucky.
this one.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
it. Well done.
prized possession. um, but yeah, that's Beardy Spock. Very cool. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I've got nothing else. If you've got nothing else, Brandy.
No, unless you just all want to sit around and talk about Spock. It's fine.
Hey, I'm sure we'll
I
do a lot of that in the weeks and
yeah.
months to come.
Oh yeah. Sorry, what? No. Also, I need to go eat dinner because I did not have time
Yeah.
before this. So,
Oh man. Well, let's wrap this up then. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you again soon, and until then, live long and prosper, and all of that good stuff.